US stock futures hold steady after a negative close to Friday's trade. A sharp fall in tech stocks like Broadcom and Oracle led the decline. Asian markets also begin on the back foot ahead of key economic data from China, while the GIFT Nifty is indicating a gap down start for our own markets. Crude prices have edged lower on supply concerns and hopes of a Russia-Ukraine peace deal. Gold prices have risen to a 7-week high, while silver prices remain steady around record high levels. Union Cabinet clears 100% FDI in the insurance sector. The new legislation provides more teeth to regulator IRDAI and allows a merger of non-insurance companies with insurance companies. A composite license and open architecture clause is not a part of the bill for now. Corona Remedies and Wakefit will list on the exchanges today. The Corona Remedies IPO saw strong subscription, while Wakefit's 1290 crore public issue saw modest demand. And retail inflation rises from record lows to 0.7% in November. It remains well below the RBI target, though, of 2 to 6%. Food prices shrink by nearly 4%. Economists see scope for another rate cut by the Reserve Bank of India. Good morning. It's the start of a brand new week. You're watching Power Breakfast right here on CNBC TV 18 in the Mumbai News Center. I am Hormuz Patakia. Let's first take a look at how the Asian markets have started off this morning. And in line with how Wall Street left off on Friday evening, the Asian markets too are reflecting those concerns. All of these indices, the Hang Seng, the Taiwanese index, most of them the tech-heavy led indices, are seeing some steep corrections over the last 3 trading sessions now. The Hang Seng now down almost 1%. The Taiwanese index down 1.33%. The underperformance, though, is led by the Kospi in South Korea, which has been an outperformer all through 2025. The Kospi in South Korea is down 1.5%. The Nikkei in Japan, too, trading with losses of 1.25%. So across the board, the Asian indices are trading with losses of at least 1% or more, reflecting the concerns that were raised on Wall Street across Thursday and Friday. And that underperformance is reflecting on the GIFT Nifty as well. After the rebound that we saw during Friday's trade, the GIFT Nifty is currently indicating a gap down start, but the implied open from the 105 point downtick at the start in the initial ticks has trimmed some of those losses. Now it's an 85 point downtick, but a downtick nonetheless. As I remember, the indices have been hovering between that 20 DMA and the 50 DMA with the 300 point range on the index. So it'll be interesting to see, in case we do open gap down, whether we do find some support at lower levels. But to set you up for the day's trade, our research team is here. They'll tell you about the trade setup, the stocks that are likely to be in the news, and the cues from the FNO side as well. First up, Gaurav is here, fresh entrant into the FNO ban from a big event today. Gaurav, good morning. Many congratulations to you on your life-changing event. But what are some of the important market cues that you're watching out for?
Well, thanks, Nigel. First, if you look at Nifty, it wasn't a good week for Nifty. If we look at the last week, Nifty was down almost by 0.5%. But for the last 2 trading sessions, we have seen Nifty actually gaining in trend. From here on, what we saw on Friday, advanced decline ratio was 2:1. So that is one positive cue that we should watch out for. Other than that, Nifty also managed to close about 26,000 marks. So this 26,000 mark can act as a support level in the near term, and in the as resistance we can see 26,200 if we compare the option data. Other than that, if you look at sector wise data, except for metals, all the sectors actually ended up in red. In fact, not to mention defense and PSU banks, they actually led to this decline the most. And at the same time, from here on, if you look at the stocks, in the last week we saw market was weak, but apart from that, transformers and rectifiers, Hindustan Zinc, Grasim, Tata Steel, these are some of the stocks from a key market which actually gained in trade. So let's watch out for these stocks. And other than that, in the losing side, we saw Indigo, Asian Paints, HUL, BL, Siemens, all these stocks actually lost in trade. So let's see if we see any kind of traction over here. Apart from that, another key thing to watch out for is that Cabinet is now okaying the insurance bill amendment. So let's also watch out how it is going to impact the insurance companies specifically, because Cabinet is likely to raise FDI capital to 100%, and at the same time, merger of non-insurance cost companies with insurance companies. That is something to watch out for. Other than that, we have a listing of Corona Remedies and Wakefit. So let's see how the listing goes, how the listing gain comes for these companies. If we look at the Asian market, we have already seen some kind of red shade. So let's see how GIFT Nifty opens. But for now, we are hoping for a good start in Nifty for today.
Well, I must admit that it was Nigel indeed who coined the FNO ban term. Gaurav, thank you for that update there. Over to Upasana now, who will list out the stocks that should be on your radar today. Upasana, good morning. What's on your list?
Good morning, Hormaz. First up, let me start with Wipro. It partners with Google to adopt Gemini enterprises across global operations. Next up is insurance stocks that will be in focus as Union Cabinet clears insurance bill, raising FDI limit to 100% in the sector. Next up is Dr. Reddy's. US FDA has issued Form 483 for 5 observations for the formulation unit in Andhra Pradesh. Next up is Aurobindo Pharma. US FDA inspected Unit 5 company's API manufacturing facility in Telangana with 3 observations. Next up on our radar is Biocon. It signs a settlement and license agreement to commercialize biosimilar worldwide. Next up is BEL. On the back of the order win, company receives order worth 776 crores since 14th of November 2025. That's the last disclosure given by the company. Next up is NLC India. Company has received LOA from NCRTC for setting up AC grid connected solar power project in Uttar Pradesh. Ashoka Bitcoin also on our radar on the back of order win. Company gets award worth 1041 from BMC for construction work. KEC International also in focus on the back of the order win. Company backs order worth 1150 crore, the largest order in India in TND business. Brigade Enterprise also in focus as Income Tax Department conducts survey for the company's office from December 9 to 30th of December is what the company has indicated. Spandana Spurti Financial, the next one on our radar. The board meeting is scheduled to be held on 17th of December to consider and approve NCDs on the private placement basis. Paytm, next one, it has completed additional investment of 2,250 crore in its wholly owned subsidiary, that is Paytm Payment Services Limited. Next one is Bank of India. The bank has issued and allotted Basel III compliant Tier 2 bonds worth 2,500 crore on a private placement basis. GPT Infra Projects also in focus as the JV has been declared as L1 bidder in order value 1739 crore. SJVN also in focus as company's wholly owned subsidiary has achieved part commercial operation for a solar power project on December 12th is what the company has indicated. And lastly, coming to Equitas Small Finance Bank, board has approved sale of 1700 crore NPA and written off loans to ARCs as well. So all in all, we'll be watching out for all these stocks in today's trading session.
Upasana, thank you for that update there. And lastly, Mangalam joins in with cues from the FNO space. Mangalam, good morning. You're hovering between that 20 and the 50 DMA, but what is the FNO data indicating for today?
More above the 20 DMA now than the 50 DMA, and the 50 DMA seems like a fair distance away after the up move that we saw on Thursday and Friday. And on Friday, the Nifty crossed past that 26,000 mark, closed near 26,050 and above the 20-day moving average of 26,031 as well. Remember, this is a rising moving day, 20-day moving average. So above that, Nifty closing is a good thing. The broader markets did well too. And if you look at, the cash market flows, there were more inflows than outflows on a net basis, led by the DIIs, 3,900 crore worth purchase. The FI sold about 1,100 crores. But what's perplexing is that despite the market moving higher, the FIs continue to sell in index futures. So if you look at it on Friday as well, 658 crore worth selling, and they've unwound 2,800 longs. Typically, with that kind of up move, you would have imagined that they would cover some short positions, but that hasn't been the case to be. But it will perhaps soon be if the market holds on to these levels. Why do I say that? Because, on December 1, the FI longs were 19%, the Nifty was 26,175. Thereafter, we didn't fall much, but the FI longs actually went all the way down to 11%. The Nifty was 25,758. From there, we saw a bounce. On December 12th, the FII longs are at 10% and the Nifty is at 26,047. So for about 120 points, the FI longs have nearly halved. So to that extent, if the market holds up, we will see some short covering. We saw short covering in calls, 25,900, 26,000 on Friday. We saw writing in puts. So that's telling you that if the Nifty sustains above that 25,100 mark, 26,100 marks, there would be a fair amount of, short covering by the FI long futures as well. A couple of stocks I'm watching out for. Samman Cap is out of FNO ban, and a lot of long positions added on Hinds Inc. and GMR Airport. Those are stocks I'll be watching out for.
Mangalam, thank you for that update there. Now, the government has released the inflation numbers for the month of November. The CPI came in at 0.71%, which is marginally higher than last month. However, this number is still below the RBI's target range of 2 to 6% for the 10th month in a row. Latha is now here to decode those numbers. Latha, over to you.
Yes, the number has come in exactly as the street expected, 0.71% inflation. I mean, that's hardly anything, way below the Reserve Bank's mandate of keeping inflation between 2 and 6%. 0.7 was expected even by the Reserve Bank because their average for October, November, December is 0.6. We had a September number of 0.25. So the average for October, November now stands at 0.5. With the December number coming below 1%, the Reserve Bank's forecast of 0.6 for the quarter will more or less be achieved. Food inflation has come in at minus 3.9. I must warn you that all this is partly because of a very high base. We had a 9% plus inflation year ago in November 2024, that is, and therefore this inflation number, or food inflation number of minus 3.9 is very much in line with our poll forecast of minus 3.5%. We have seen a slight uptick in food prices in November over October, especially in the prices of vegetables, about 2.5%. But the overall inflation is extremely benign, given the lower prices of pulses, cereals, spices, and milk, meat, a whole lot of other products. The key to watch now will be what will the bond market do. The bond market did not move after the numbers come. We are still at a very tall 6.6%. In terms of the bond market, despite the rate cuts announced by the Reserve Bank in the policy on December 6th and promising adequate liquidity, the bond market is unmoved, and that's largely because the bond market is worried about the supply of paper. In the last quarter of every year, the state governments raise a lot of money, what is called SDLs, State Development Loans. That is expected to be over 4 lakh crore. But even more important is February 1st, the next budget. There it is expected that the government will not have too much elbow room to reduce the fiscal deficit, simply because they've already cut taxes a goodish bit. And therefore, a large borrowing is expected from the central government as well. And that's why at the moment, the bond market is unmoved to the inflation number. They're only concentrating on how much Reserve Bank will buy by way of OMO purchases and what will the next budget be. Hope is that the Reserve Bank will continue to do an OMO of about 1.5 lakh crore in the months of January and February as well. If that happens, the bond yields can come down below 6.5%. Otherwise, 6.6, quite a tall number for, when the overnight rate is as low as 5/4.
Lata, thank you for breaking down the CPI numbers for us. The other major development, though, was the Union Cabinet that has approved the Insurance Amendment Bill, which allows 100% FDI into the insurance sector. The new legislation also aims to give more teeth to the insurance regulator. Sapna is here with more details on that proposed legislation. Sapna.
The expectation is in the coming week, it's going to be tabled in the Parliament, maybe as early as Monday. That's what we are getting to hear very clearly in terms of tabling of the bill. And there will also be a certain sense of urgency in getting it cleared as quickly as possible. So, all eyes on that, and there will be a lot of action in the coming week. That's one. Second, very quickly, of course, 100% FDI, raising the cap from 74% currently. That's a big one. It's more of a signaling by the union government. If you look at the current FDI, the kind of flows that have happened in the insurance sector, there is still a bit of headroom available even to reach 74%. So this is an important signaling from the part of the government to basically invite more foreign investment. Please come to the Indian market and put in money in the insurance sector. I think that's a message loud and clear. That's one. Second, some other important changes have also been proposed in the amendment bill. Number one, of course, is setting up a new consumer protection and education fund for the insurance policyholders. It was not the case so far. So that's one. Second, also giving more teeth to IRDA in terms of disgorgement of wrongful gains. Now, SEBI, as a market regulator, already has this power since quite some time. The same is now being given to the IRDA. Third, of course, also in terms of merger of non-insurance companies with insurance majors. Now, we did try to find out what this really means. So given to understand, say, for example, it's an insurance major has an SPV and they would like to merge it with the main insurance company. That's how it's going to be. Or even non-insurance companies for that matter. So this is basically more in terms of promotion of ease of doing business and giving some kind of scale. Of course, post-merger, the insurance entity is what will continue.
Sapna, thank you for that update. That will also put the insurance stocks in the spotlight in today's session. Take a short break. All the action from Wall Street on the other side. Welcome back. Now on to Wall Street action from Friday. It was the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq that led the underperformance, both indices falling over 1% each. The Dow Jones too made an intraday record and then fell over 400 points from those levels to end with losses of close to 250 points. Now the Nasdaq was dragged lower by a fall of over 11% in shares of Broadcom, which some analysts think is because of margin compression worries, and of course the fact that the management did not give any AI revenue related guidance for the full year of 2026, and that spilled over to other highly valued tech names like AMD, Palantir and Micron, which also fell anywhere between 3 to 5% alongside Broadcom. Let's also now listen in to what UBS Private Wealth's Ali McCartney has to say on the triggers for the stock market going forward.
There are going to be three things that are going to keep this market going, and all of them, in a sense, have been tested this week. The first is the Fed, right? The second is the feasibility of AI, and that has to do with a lot of the issues that we're seeing. Is there enough land? Is there enough energy? Can we make enough chips to get this going, to start to see monetization spread throughout? And then the third is going to be fiscal policy and the money that's going to come in mostly in the first quarter. And so, we're going to have ups and downs. We're going to have some winners and losers. We're going to have a change in leadership, whether that change is from growth to value, which is possible, whether it's to small caps or whether it's simply within the AI universe. I do think you're going to see that next year.
Let's now also listen to what Mark Cabana of BofA and David Zervos from Jefferies had to say about the Fed's rate decision.
It is a split Fed. It's a very divided Fed. They will tell you that this is not uncommon when you're at an economic turning point, but it does seem a little unusual to folks like us who follow the Fed closely and know that they try and limit the extent of dissents where they can. Now, we think it's going to be hard for them to sound too hawkish right now, just like it was hard for Powell to sound too hawkish on Wednesday, largely because there's still so much data that is yet to come.
I took away this look that the overall committee, the 19 members, actually are really embracing the supply side, Andrew. They're embracing this productivity story. They're embracing this idea that we can grow without creating a lot of inflation risks. And I think that's much more dovish than the setup we had, which was for folks to think that this was going to be some sort of hawkish cut by Jay Powell and by the committee.
Take a short break. Cues from the commodities market on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and Manisha Gupta now joins in with all the updates from the commodity space. Manisha, good morning. Some profit booking seen in silver, but what else is on your radar today?
Well, yes, since you mentioned silver, I'll start with that. We've seen some booking coming in there on Friday, but that was really brief because we've seen the markets rebound yet again. There is support from rate cuts, robust ETF inflows, strong retail demand, rising lease rates, and an expectation that 2026 could also be a sixth year of deficit in the global markets there. What also has seen gains is the copper prices. The U.S. markets are trading at a 4-month highs, and the LME markets trading very close to its all-time highs. Here as well, supply disruption in Chile, Peru, decline in the ore grade, and decline in LME inventories are very, very supportive factors. I also want to talk about platinum, which is trading at 2011 highs. The only thing that's not trading quite well is the crude prices, trading at a 2-month lows because of oversupply concerns. But do keep an eye on Bitcoin as well, because that has come off, trading below 90,000 yet again in the trade right now. So across cryptos is in the negative today as well.
We'll keep an eye out on the crypto markets. Manisha, thank you for all of those updates there. And the BJP Parliamentary Board, led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, has appointed Bihar Road Construction Minister Nitin Nabin as the National Working President of the party. Nabin will function as the National Working President until the full election to appoint the BJP National President is held, while JP Nadda continues in the post until a full-term president is formally appointed. Now, the Delhi NCR has plunged into a severe air emergency as pollution levels touched the severe plus category, forcing authorities to impose the GRAP Stage 4 restrictions. Emergency measures include a ban on construction activities, strict curbs on vehicles and other preventive measures as the region continues to battle hazardous air quality and serious health risks. The hazardous air has turned the national capital region into a gas chamber, raising serious health concerns. In view of the worsening conditions, the Chief Justice of India has advised lawyers and litigants to opt for hybrid hearings via video conferencing for matters listed before the courts. And in some somber news, Australia is mourning after its worst gun violence in 30 years as a deadly shooting at a Jewish celebration in Sydney's Bondi Beach left 16 people dead. Police say that the two alleged gunmen were a father and son duo. The 50-year-old father was killed at the scene while his 24-year-old son remains in critical condition. Officials have described the attack as a targeted anti-Semitic assault. Around 40 people remain hospitalized, including 2 police officials. With that, we take your leave on this edition of Power Breakfast. From me and the team, thank you for watching. Bazaar Morning Call on the other side to set you up for the day's trade.